Hi, everyone. Hopefully everyone can hear us. It'll probably just be a few minutes while everyone is joining, but feel free to use the chat to pop up and say hello. Let us know where you're joining from while we give everyone a chance to join. All right. Still got a couple of people joining, so we'll just wait a couple more minutes till we jump into this. I recognize a few names in the viewer list from some existing customers, but yeah, if there's a specific use case or a specific company that you're joining from, feel free to add that into the chat as well, and we can try and make this this walkthrough as specific to your use cases as possible. All right, we're just about on time. Maybe I'll give it one more minute just to see if anyone else wants to join. Maybe in the meantime, I'll give a quick introduction to myself. So I'm Harry. I look after the sales team here at Imagely. I've been with Imagely for nearly 3 years now. So I've seen the kind of evolution of this creative editor SDK product that we're going to be talking about today. I'm also joined by Claudia from our marketing team. All right, well, let's jump in the interest of time. So yeah, maybe a little bit of housekeeping first. We expect that this would take about 30 minutes. We're going to leave some time at the end for a question and answer session, but I would encourage you to use either the chat function or the QA function that you'll find on the right-hand side of your screen to ask any questions that you have throughout the webinar as well. We'll do our best to address those as we go through, or if not, like I say, we've got some time at the end to be able to go through those. And then the final bit is that we will make a recording of this available to everyone, I believe on Monday of next week, if that's right, Claudia.
Yes, sorry, correct. On Monday, we will send an email with all the links to the presentation we'll be showing today, the demos. So yeah, don't worry about missing anything. You can see it for yourself because everything is available on our website.
Amazing. Thank you. All right, then let's jump into the agenda and cover what we're talk about what we're going to cover today. So firstly, we're going to do a little bit of background for maybe the people in the webinar that aren't familiar with Imagely. So who we are, what we do, why we do it. Then we're going to jump into the creative editor itself, talk a little bit about what it does, how it was made, and then we're going to jump into some demos as well, taking a look through how this actually works in real life. And then, like I say, we'll leave some time at the end for a question and answer session as well. So, okay, who or what is Imagely? So we're a fully remote company of about 70 employees, predominantly based in Central Europe, but by this point have employees spread kind of all over the place. Claudia, for example, is joining us quite late in the evening from glamorous Bali. I'm in slightly less glamorous Berlin in Germany, but we can't all win, I guess. Yeah, we've been making editing tools in one shape or form since 2015. And those of you in the webinar that were maybe early adopters of Twitter might be familiar with the Imagely name as it was used back in 2009 as a way for people to share photos across Twitter when that functionality didn't exist as well. That's not something that we do anymore, and hopefully that will become clear throughout the webinar. Great. So what do? We build creative editing tools for any app or any website. So that might cover simple photo editing, video editing, design editing, template creation, or even now creative automation as well. We have a slightly different approach to the way that we build our SDKs compared to some other companies that you might be familiar with. We've decided to build all of our graphics processing capabilities in-house. So we've built an engine that underpins the entirety of this SDK. You'll probably hear it mentioned throughout this webinar quite a lot, but it's a little bit different because we're not reliant on any kind of operating system level or high-level APIs for the graphic processing. We have hundreds of customers now using this product, some of which you can see on the screen there. And through those customers, they're responsible for about 500 million plus now video and photo creations each month. So there's a lot of scale associated with this creative editor as well. All right, let's jump into the creative editor itself. So what is it? It's an SDK, as you would probably expect. And what it does is provide a comprehensive suite of design functionalities. So layout tools, text editing, image editing capabilities, video editing capabilities, and composition tools, really to enable any creative editing workflow from end to end. I've noticed that my video seems to be lagging back and forth, so hopefully all of the audio can still be heard okay. Maybe someone can just give me a thumbs up if the audio is still okay.
Audio is perfect, and the image frozen is very, very funny. So I think all is good.
It can at least provide us with some entertainment then. All right, where were we? So yeah, so the creative editor has a feature set that's probably comparable to something that you might be familiar with more in a desktop-based solution. But the big difference here is that it's going to be embeddable within your web or within your mobile apps. We even have a server component as well if you need to take advantage of that. So we started talking a little bit there about the engine component. So the engine component is responsible for all of the processing and basically all of the heavy lifting that happens within the SDK. There's some advantages to the way that we've built that. One of the main ones really is that we use the same engine and then cross-compile to native platforms. That means that the same output is consistent no matter where someone is editing from. So someone could start an edit on a mobile device and finish it on the web, and the output will always remain consistent. Another advantage to this idea of using an engine as well is that it operates headlessly. So you can start leveraging the engine component by itself to automate processes or to implement it on your own servers if you wanted to start doing some automation at scale. Claudia, I've completely lost the ability to see which slide we're on, so I'm just going to go ahead and assume that we've switched to the next slide, where we can maybe start talking a little bit about some of the features there. So now that we have this understanding of what the engine component is and what it does, there's of course needing to be a UI layer for most use cases. So we have UIs that are built specifically for each platform natively. So we have iOS, Android, and web UIs that are available. And they can be fully customized as well. So what we aim to do is provide a number of starting places for whatever your use case is. So you find the UI that most closely matches the use case that you have, and you then have the ability to customize that UI from that point. So whether it's simple customization like theming, changing colors, or maybe localization, all the way through to way more extensive customization like turning on or off features, or even using the plugin system that we have to extend the UI with either your own proprietary workflows or technology, or connecting to third-party tools or services that maybe Imagely hasn't built directly out of the box. So we're talking about things like QR code generation, or even now using AI-based plugins for text to image, image to video. All of those things are possible now through our plugin system as well. Okay, I think that covers pretty much the backgrounds of the editor. Given the technical hiccups that are happening, I'm a little bit apprehensive about starting to share my screen here, but let's give it a go, jump into some of the demos, and hopefully you can ask some questions and everyone will be able to see anything. So I'm also missing the ability to be able to share my screen now. Let me just see if I can refresh the page and come back.
I don't think it would be a webinar if there was no technical issues, so please just bear with us for a moment. There was anyone here that joined our AI webinar, you might be already aware that this sometimes happens to us, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm very much hoping that Harry can come back because it's 10 p.m. over here and I don't think I can give a live demo. Okay, let's give him a minute. Okay, that's a long minute. Again, in the meantime, if you would like to share your use case, so maybe we can do a little bit more personalized demos, or if you have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat. We will mark them, and hopefully Harry comes back and he can answer all of them. Just a sec. Yes, there he is. You gave me a small heart attack, Harry. You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Apologies, everyone. Yeah, it doesn't matter how many times you practice this ahead of time. As soon as you go live, it's something's bound to go wrong. Let me see if I can share my screen now without the whole world falling apart. All right. So let's start. As long as everyone can see my screen, which it looks like you can. Let's start with the kind of default UI and the main kind of backbone of what you'd see if you were an end user using the Imagely SDK. So you can see here we have a relatively familiar layout for a canvas-based editing tool. Along the left-hand side of the screen, you can see the different asset classes. Now, because Imagely doesn't host anything, or you're not reliant on Imagely's servers for the maintenance of any of your assets, you can populate these asset classes from wherever you like. It could be your own backend, or for something like images, it may be connecting to a third-party stock imagery provider. However you like, each of these asset classes can be populated by yourself, and you can also add in or remove different asset classes if you need as well. When you select an asset class, it opens these panels and then allows you to interact with the element that you've selected and pull those elements directly onto the canvas. You can then see in the center of the screen is the canvas itself. It has the ability for you to work with multiple pages should your use case require that. You can continue to add pages, or you can have kind of single page editing. When we select an element on the canvas, you'll see that this top toolbar appears, giving us granular control over what that element is. So we have an image selected here. We have all of the image editing capabilities that you would expect to see, whether that's an array of different filters that you could use, the ones that we provide out the box, or even bring your own, whether it's really granular adjustment on things like contrast or saturation, or whether it's just changing positions. And the same goes if we select a text box. You can then see that we have text editing capabilities For shapes, there's shape-based editing capabilities as well. So this is the kind of basis of the UI, but as I say, everything's very customizable. So for our online demos, you'll see this customize editor button. That, of course, probably wouldn't exist. You wouldn't provide your end users with that button unless you really wanted to. But you can see here that we have the ability to change the sides that the panels exist on, change some of the behaviors within the UI, and even remove some of the features and functionalities if you don't need them. Typically, we find that the end users of our customers are looking for the most simple experience possible. So of course you can strip this right back and just provide your end users with the features and functionalities that they're most likely going to need. And then as and when you see the desire for more features and functionalities, you can just switch those back on. So yeah, this is the basis of the UI and all of the features and functionalities. As I say, we'll share these demos afterwards so that you can have a more in-depth play around with them yourselves. But then we also spoke about a plugin system that exists. So I just want to show you quickly what that looks like. So this is, let's just switch over to our design editor. So as you can see, it follows exactly the same layout as the design editor UI that we were just previously looking at. But there's one extra button here. There's a UI button in the top corner. So this is the first area where you can extend our UI with your own features or functionality. So custom buttons can exist here. Custom buttons, if I select this, can then lead to custom panels. And again, these custom panels can either connect to third-party tools or services, which is what's happening in the case of this demo here. You can see that we have a text-to-image capabilities, or it could just be some customized workflow where you're leveraging tools that already exist within our UI. So this is a kind of second place where the plugin system is functional. And then if I just close this and select an image, you'll see this on canvas menu that appears as well. And this is the kind of third and final place where the plugin system exists. You can see here that this AI button also exists. It leads to a drop-down menu that can lead to further drop-down menus or to prompt boxes. It could even lead to, generating variants of certain elements of the canvas if you really wanted. So that's a very brief overview of the UI and what you can do with it, how you can customize it, and some of the features and functionality that exists within it. But now let's start having a look at how the creative editor actually supports these end-to-end workflows. What we typically find is that templating really is the backbone of most creative workflows. At one end of the spectrum, you have really advanced editing capabilities where someone wants really granular control, and they're then going to use some sort of creative automation to render variants of this template, in which case the templating is really important. And then on the other end of the spectrum, if we're looking at maybe more of a B2C type use case, where the end users who are interacting with the SDK may have little to no experience with design tools, what we want to be able to do is create templates that ensure that they can make really meaningful designs in a few easy steps without the worry about breaking a design or moving something off the canvas where it may not be printed or may not end up in their final design. So at Imagely, we use this concept of placeholders. So any element that we add to the canvas is a block. So if we just add a simple text block here as a title, you can see that we're given the opportunity to make this a placeholder. If I select this as a placeholder, you can see that it brings about a list on the right-hand side. And this is where we can determine what the end user can or can't do with that element. If we enable everything, then of course the end user can do whatever they want with this element. They could change the color, they could change the size, they could rotate it, they could flip it, they could put an effect on it if they wanted to. They could even delete this element and remove it from the design completely. On the other side, if we disabled everything, then this will be a static element within the design that cannot even be interacted with. So we can start to use this to give really granular control to the people that want to create templates, but also to decide how our end users are going to interact with the editing tool and what kind of capabilities we want to give to them. So now we have this understanding of how we go about building templates or managing templates. We now want to start doing some more interesting things with them. And this is where that engine component that we spoke about earlier comes in. If I just switch over here, you can see that we've created a pretty simple template here. It's got an image variable here, some text variables for first name, last name, and department, and then a company logo. You can see when I hit this save button, what you're going to see happen at the bottom of the screen is the engine component of our SDK is going to start rendering variants of this template against a CSV file where we're storing information about first name, last name, and a link to an image URL. So let's just click save. You can see here that we've now rendered variants of that template. Now, of course, automating variants isn't always going to be perfect. Your end users may still want to go in and make granular changes. And so, of course, we still have the ability for someone to load this scene file back into the editor and make small changes to the design should they wish to do that. So this is how we can start pulling in data sources that we maybe have directly on our back end, or that the end user may have somewhere on their device to start managing variants and start using creative automation. But it goes a step further than that as well. In this next demo that you see, what we've done is created another simple template. We have an image variable here in the top left corner. We actually have an image variable as the background, some text components as well. And this is the template that we're then going to use for some automated design generation. As part of this, we're also showing that form-based editing is also possible, but of course you don't need to use that if you don't want. So in this case, what we've done is actually connected to Apple Podcasts. So I'll just type in the name of a podcast that I'm listening to at the moment, which is called Off Menu. You can see that when I select Off Menu, we're pulling that data from a third-party data source, and we're using to inject that directly into the template. So you can start creating variables from any data sources that you want. It doesn't even have to be within your business's ecosystem. It goes a step further than that as well. What we notice, particularly within a marketing or perhaps within an advertising space, is that you don't just want to create one image or one post for one platform. Typically, you want to be cross-posting your ads or your posts to multiple platforms. And what we've seen is that, you know, for agencies or for people within the marketing space or even end users, it's taking them an awful lot of time to go in and create different sized variables for these different platforms. So from this one master template, you can also create different sizes, enabling you to create assets for all different platforms in the same time. And of course, they still remain editable as well if your end users want to go in and make those granular changes. So I recognize this has probably been a bit of a whistle-stop tour of Imagely's capabilities, and probably with some technical hiccups as well. But hopefully that's given you a bit of an insight into some of the capabilities of the creative editor and how that can be leveraged to support the creative workflows that you want to provide your end users with. I'll do my best to come and rejoin the webinar room right now, but I'd like to invite anyone who has any questions to please start sharing them in the chat if you haven't already. Okay, I've managed to get back into the chat. So let's just start having a quick look into some of the use cases then and see whether this covers what you're looking for. Peter, I saw that you mentioned that you're looking into using this as a content editor for a digital signage platform. Did everything that you see there kind of cover what you wanted to see, or are there still some elements that you'd like to dig a bit deeper into? All right, maybe Peter's not with us anymore. Okay. Sorry, Peter. Well, that's great to hear. Hopefully this was still helpful for you, and yeah, always appreciate the support. Are there any other questions from anyone else that's joined today, or any other elements of the editor that they would like to see? I can do my best to share my screen again and jump into those. All right. Then if any other questions pop up, I'll make my email address available through the follow-up email that Claudia and the team will share afterwards. Oh, sorry, we have got a question from Peter. Peter, is this about adding tables directly within the UI? Got it. Understood. Yeah. So the ability to add tables as a feature within the creative editor is on our roadmap. I'd probably have to check in with our team in exactly when we're expecting that to become available, but I'm aware that it's not available at the moment, but definitely is something that we want to bring to the editor alongside some other more granular text editing features like bullet points and things as well. So yeah, bear with us and hopefully we'll get that shipped as soon as possible. Dario, yes, we have actually recently released the ability for you to force crop within the creative editor. Let me see if I'm able to pull up an example of where that's possible. Yeah, let me just see if I can share my screen again without everything crashing. So yeah, in the latest version of the SDK, we've added this resize button in. And the resize button allows you to either change the size of the canvas or of a particular element. So you can then force crop to any of these kind of standard sizes that you may be familiar with, or if you want to do this on a much more granular level, you can put the exact number of pixels that you want there for a force crop. So yeah, that's been released both on web, and I believe will be released on mobile. If it hasn't been this week, by next week, but I believe it's already out on mobile as well. I think we've got another question here. Can the design be broken when creating variations? Ibrahim, maybe you could elaborate on that question for us a little bit. All right. I mean, possibly you're still typing a response there, but I'll have my best guess at responding to this. So there are always limitations to how you create templates. For example, if you create a text box that is relatively small and then you want to dynamically inject a large paragraph of text into that text box, it may run out of that text box and not be visible in the final rendering. So you do always need to consider a little bit in how you're building the templates to make sure they're going to accommodate the sizes of text, for example, that you might be wanting to dynamically inject into those templates. There is, of course, some element of automated resizing capabilities that we have, but really, if we're talking about a text box that maybe fits 3 words and you want to inject 40 words into them, at some point that is going to spill out of the design and break the design. I hope that addresses the question that you had, but please let me know if not. Dario, yes, force cropping is available on video too, and yeah, should be available on mobile. Let me just have a quick check and see whether that has actually been pushed to mobile just yet. If not, it will certainly be there very soon, but let me just take a quick look. Yes, resizing capability is force cropping or resizing capability is available on mobile already. So if you can't see that in your version, I would recommend updating to the latest release. You can always find a blog post with our release notes available on our website as well. Alistair, great question. Probably a little bit too technical for me to be able to provide a response as a member of our sales team. Perhaps someone in our engineering team would provide a better response to that. What I know is that we built it from the ground up in C++, but beyond that, it's probably beyond my technical abilities, unfortunately. But I will take the question and I'll make sure that we get a response over to you by email. Okay, we still have a little bit of time here. So if there's any other questions or anything else that people would like to see, then yeah, please don't hesitate to ask. All right, then I think we're pretty much at time. So I'll hang around for the next few minutes if people maybe want to ask questions in a more one-on-one way. But otherwise, I really appreciate you all joining and bearing with us through the technical difficulties that we had earlier. Hopefully, we provide a little bit of an insight into the creative editor today and how it could be leveraged. If this is something that you think might be useful for you, please feel free to either reach out to us directly and we can spend some more time talking about how this would work for your specific use case. Alternatively, if you're feeling confident enough to get going, we have a free trial available on our website where you'll get access to a license key for 30 days use of the SDK. All of our documentation is available directly on our website. Nothing's behind a paywall, or we try not to gatekeep any information at all. And once you've started that trial, we're also happy to provide some support in getting you set up with a proof of concept as well. So yeah, please feel free to reach out if there's any other specific questions, but otherwise I wish you all a lovely Friday. Enjoy the weekend, and yeah, look forward to connecting with you all sometime soon. Thank you.